talk about the nose. Okay. Let's start about the nose. So this is the external narrus, right? So
Where?
if we have
I
the
can't
hole.
see it.
The hole.
The hole.
So the hole is the external narrus. The hole is the external narrus. So if you have an external narrus, there is a
Internal narrus.
internal narrus. Okay. And then the whole thing in between the internal and the external is what cavity?
Nasal cavity.
It's the nasal cavity. Okay. So within the nasal cavity, there are important structures that you can find, and these are bones. Okay. These are the
Concha.
middle and what?
Nasal concha.
Conchae. So you have superior, middle, and inferior. Underneath it are grooves, which are called meatus. Right. So you also have the superior, the middle, and inferior meatus. Now within this cavity, the hairs on your nose near the external narrus are called vibrissae. I don't vibrissae. I don't know if it says it anyway. It's the stiff hairs that you cut. Okay, they're bothering
Like the
you.
hair on your nose.
Yes, vibrissae. That's the second one on your guard. Okay, so we went through the external narrus, the vibrissae, the conchae, the meatuses. Okay.
Are the actual bones in the meatus are the canals?
Yes, the meatus would be the one underneath, the grooves underneath the bones. Okay, that's where the air goes through and it gets warmed up.
Warmed up, clean.
Clean, exactly. And good job. Regarding the epithelium, just so you know, especially in the theoretical exam that it might come out, we know that it's covered by a pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelial cells, right? Except, okay, there's an exemption, okay, which is the inferior part of the pharynx, because the adenoids are there, and smallest conducting passages of the bronchi, which is the smallest, like the terminal and the respiratory, because that's too small for hair to actually grow anyway. And the alveolar sacs, the alveoli itself doesn't have the hair in the ciliated. Okay,
And then what's the one on top of the olfactory cells?
What do you mean, like the hair cell? I'm not sure about that.
That's right where the
Just
holes
look at the
are, the olfactory foramina
Uh-huh.
in the cribriform plate. Isn't there a
Oh, the
difference
ethmoid.
olfactory tissue?
Yeah, she said something about the vomer because it's only where the olfactory cells are located.
Oh, the vomer and the perpendicular plate is in the nasal septum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the nasal septum is actually made up of two bones, which is the perpendicular plate and the vomer, which you cannot see here because it's the separation in between. So it's attached to the separation of the vestibule is this. I forgot what it's called.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
Daddy told us that the thing that connects the well, basically nasal vestibule.
Vestibule.
Oh, she said olfactory
Epithelium.
tissue.
Oh, okay.
Only on the roof
On the roof of
of the
the
superior.
of the superior nasal cavity.
Yes.
Because the olfactory, if you think about, remember the olfactory nerves, because that's where the olfactory nerves
Right,
go
where
out
they come
from.
down through the cribriform plate.
Exactly.
Then there's that tissue that goes
Yeah.
up to the
Into the olfactory bulb.
olfactory bulb. Okay.
Exactly, because remember the cribriform plate has like holes. Then of course there's no other epithelium there except for the olfactory epithelium.
Okay, so it's all pseudostratified columnar epithelium except for in those four places.
Exactly.
So it'd be the olfactory epithelial tissue
Yes.
at the very
The inferior part of the pharynx, and the smallest conducting passages, and the alveoli.
I'm lost. You guys.
Okay.
Okay. What did you say the front part was?
Okay, talking about the paranasal sinuses, we got the
the
ethmoid,
ethmoid,
and the
the
sphenoid, And the maxillary, which is here, you can't see it on the model, but it's above your maxillary bone. Okay, there's a cavity over there. And then what else?
What is this frontal?
Ethmoid, sphenoid, frontal,
Oh, where? Up here?
and the maxillary. You cannot see the maxillary here, but you can actually see it on another.
Sphenoid.
We have the model. I think it's that model over there on the other table. It's the half model. It's a cross section. You can see the maxillary sinus there. But does everybody know where the maxillary sinus is? We're pretty good with that, right?
Right here.
Yeah, it's on top. It's in the maxillary bone. And you got two of them. You can't see it here.
Oh, okay. I was like, you
Repeat
can't
the
see it.
sinus.
You can't see it in this model. You can see it on the cross section, the other one.
Wait, do you know? Can you repeat those sinuses again?
Frontal,
Frontal,
ethmoid,
ethmoid.
with a sphenoid,
Okay.
and then the maxillary, which is here. What else? Oh, the pharynx. Remember, in the pharynx, there are three parts of the pharynx, and you start with this whole thing is the pharynx. But there are three parts. This is the nasopharynx because this is the nasal cavity. So this is the nasopharynx. When you reach the tongue area, which is the oropharynx. Okay. And then on this part, when you reach the glottis part, where the larynx is, that would be the laryngopharynx. So there's three.
Nasopharynx. Yeah.
Oropharynx, laryngopharynx. We're good with the pharynx?
Wait, where's the
Laryngopharynx.
Is it the same thing as prominence? No, right?
No, the prominence is there. Can I borrow that? We're going through that next. Yeah. Now we're going through the larynx. So this will be the best model for that part. So we're going to jump now. This is where we at. So where we're at. Okay? Everybody, this is where we're at right now. This part.
Wait, hold on.
This is the trachea, okay, going down into the trachea is the larynx first before the trachea, okay, and then behind it is the esophagus. That's why you have the epiglottis. The epiglottis, when you swallow, it covers the trachea so you don't die from choking, okay? So
what
this
goes
model,
first, the larynx, then the what?
the trachea.
Oh, trachea.
Yeah, this is the trachea. And this is the larynx where the voice box is. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is the anterior part. The posterior. You see more of the cartilages in the posterior part, but let's start with this. What bone is this? The floating bone. The hyoid bone, the only floating bone in the body. And this is the epiglottis. Okay, this epiglottis is above the glottis, just what she said. In the books, the glottis is the space in between. So when you do that, it opens up. Can you see? It's opening in the middle. That's the vocal. It's the vocal cord. So can you see that? Can you see the space? When I put that, it opens up the space. The space is the glottis. Actually, to be specific, it's the rima glottis. But in the books, it says glottis only, but the glottis actually involves the true vocal cords as well. That's what she was explaining before. Rima glottis is the space, like the opening in between.
Wait, is epiglottis the same as epiglottis?
Oh, you guys talk too much.
Cartilage?
Yes, it's a cartilage of the epiglottis. Yeah, we'll go through that. So you got that? The glottis is the space, but specifically it's called the rima glottis. That's what she right there. And then if it's the glottis, it's both the rima glottitis and the true vocal cords, which is number 39 in this model, which is the most medial. Yeah, the one in the middle. True. Yes, the glottis.
I made that drawing because it seems
Exactly.
easier.
That's the same thing. The orange would be the true. The vestibule is actually the flap that holds these two holes. And this is a space. The opening is the rima glottitis, okay? The whole glottis includes this orange part. Makes sense?
So then it would, the vestibular,
The vestibular
which are
fold
the
is the
false
false.
vocal cords, are the pink.
Exactly.
The true vocal cords are the orange.
Yes.
The rima glottidus is the space
It's the
inside
space
here.
inside.
And the glottis
And
is
that's
the
a closed
entire
glottis.
thing.
So
you're
in the
saying
model, it's a closed
This
one.
is true vocal
Yeah.
cord?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, and this would be the thyroid
And
cartilage?
inside
This one.
here is
It's
the
the
rima.
rima
Yeah, we'll go
glottidus.
through that. We're talking about
And
the
out
first.
here?
So the
Out here
orange
and up
is
here
the vocal
are
cord, the vocal folds.
vestibular.
Okay, that's an open glottis. So this is a space. The space is called the rima glottitis. That's the exact specific name. In some books, it would say just the glottis, but the glottis actually includes both the rima glottitis as well as the true vocal cords, which is the orange part. Now the yellow part, which is the flap beside the true vocal folds, is the vestibular fold. That's also called the false.
The cricoid is below the thyroid, which is
Yes.
this one, cricoid.
Yes. We'll talk about that next. Can I borrow the model? Okay, are we good with the true and the false vocal folds? Okay, moving on. This is the thyroid cartilage. You have to put thyroid cartilage because below here there's a thyroid gland. Okay, you can't see it in this model, but there should be a thyroid gland on this part. Okay, that's why this is the thyroid cartilage. And this part over here is important, which is the Adam's apple.
Laryngeal prominence.
Laryngeal prominence. Okay, laryngeal prominence. This one. That's in your guide, so you have to remember that and spell that right. Laryngeal prominence, that's the Adam's apple. Okay, from the thyroid, go to the back. This is the cricoid or whatever. CRICOID. Cricoid
Wait,
cartilage.
wouldn't it be in the front too?
Yes, it actually goes around, which becomes the border between the larynx and the trachea. Okay, so the cricoid cartilage is your landmark between the larynx and the trachea. Okay. Moving back, this is the posterior side again. Okay, what
Cricoid cartilage.
cricoid cartilage? This is the arytenoid. Okay, this is important because it's the mobile part of the larynx, which also helps in the vocal.
Wait, hold on.
Arytenoids. That's in your list. Arytenoid cartilage. On top of the arytenoid is the corniculate. Corniculate cartilage. Exactly, corniculate cartilage.
Sorry.
And you can see the
Hair was in my
cuneiform
way.
so-
It's on my nose.
I have a question.
Exactly.
So this would be,
But you can see it on your diagram.
so this
So
is
you can
the
see on the other
arytenoid,
model.
Corniculate.
oh no, this one and then this, the top one.
Arytenoid. This is the arytenoid corniculate. No, she said already yesterday to the other class that in all the models you can see the cuneiform.
You can see on the small
On
one.
that
Really?
little tiny one.
Yeah, the one that you can separate.
But it's just
Oh,
little,
the
little
little
tiny
small.
dots.
Really small.
Barely.
Yeah.
So I bet it'll be.
I
either
don't.
on the diagram
Yeah,
or
it's
on the
most. It's
small.
most. Yeah, it's gonna be the diagram if she's ever gonna ask the cuneiform. The most common question would be like this one, like arytenoid, cricoid, which is the border, right? That which makes sense. And then of course the epiglottis, that's important. The prominence. This since we're on this model as well, you can see the tracheal rings. Okay, which are C-shaped. Who asked that earlier? And this would be what muscle? It's in your list too. The trachealis muscle.
The trachealis muscle, which it's smooth muscle, which allows the esophagus.
Exactly. Because when the food kind of bulges, right? So it doesn't actually injure your trachea. That's why it's there. That's only the part that doesn't have this, and this maintains the integrity of your trachea so that the passageway, the air can allow. Exactly.
And that's what goes down to the carina.
Exactly. So going down, so we know that this is the trachea, right? And then that's the part of the trachea, and then it bifurcates into two. So the crutch is called the carina. Okay, carina. And then the first branches would be primary, bronchi or bronchus. Bronchi is plural, right? I always mix it up.
Primary,
And then bronchi, and then
Secondary.
Secondary, and then tertiary. Yeah. So this would be primary. Then the first few branches would be the secondary. The third ones would be tertiary. Now after the tertiary, it will be the terminals, but you can see it in your diagram. So if she's gonna ask anything about the terminal bronchi, the respiratory bronchus, and the alveoli, that would be in your diagram. If you can imagine the grapes, as I explained earlier, the grapes are the alveoli, okay, or the alveolar sac. The sac is the one that has the space inside, right? The alveolar sac. And then this the grapes has a little stem, right? The little stem would be the respiratory, the alveolar. Well, you're right. It's the alveolar ducts, but it becomes the respiratory bronchi, right? Because the alveolar duct is a lot of like grapes, and then it becomes like one, which is the alveolar duct. But if you can imagine the whole the alveolar sac, and then this would be the stem, then that would be the respiratory bronchi, and then the bigger branch would be the terminal bronchi, which is at the very end of the tertiary bronchi. Does that make sense? We got the primary, the secondary, the tertiary. Now the tertiary has like little branches. At the very end of it, it's just called the terminal bronchi before it becomes the respiratory and then the alveolar sac.
And then the bronchioles, which are at the end of the tertiary bronchi, those are the ones that are the first ones that are more elastic, not as hard like the cartilage. Those are the ones that can collapse.
And they're the ones who are not ciliated as well, right? Because there's the very smooth, because it's the smallest passageway to the alveoli, because the alveoli itself is not the same epithelium. Now in the alveoli, going into the alveoli, you have to remember the three types of muscles. What are the three types of muscles? Oh, sorry.
Cells?
Yes, the cells. The epithelium. Type 1, alveolar type 1, right?
Yeah, squamous alveoli.
The type 2
and
then the macrophage?
And then the macrophage. So there's three.
Type 1, which is
Type 1.
squamous alveolar.
Exactly.
Type 2, which is the septal.
Which is also part of the epithelium, but it is the one that secretes the surfactant. Yeah. And then the macrophages are the dust cells that actually cleans up the alveoli, which dies when you smoke. That's why they can clean it up. So you got the type 1.
So do we need to know?
Yeah, you're right. The septal
alveolar and then septal?
Yeah.
Type 1 is squamous and alveolar, type 2 is septal, and then the ducts, macrophages.
Yeah. The type 2 always gets asked in the theoretical exams. It never fails. Yes, because of the surfactant. So which type of alveolar cell secretes surfactant? That's the most likely question. That would be
Surfactant is basically sticking to
exactly.
the area.
It creates surface tension.
Surface tension. Yeah, that's what the word I was looking for earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, surface tension.
Reduces the surface tension.
Yeah, exactly.
Electrical tension between the water molecules.
Exactly. Which also helps in the respiration, right? Because we were talking about the visceral, the pleural cavity, and the parietal walls, right? So in the pleural cavity, the one that's with your lungs is the visceral pleura, right? And then the one in the membrane that's attached to the body of your chest cavity would be the parietal pleura, and then the space is
Pleural cavity.
the cavity itself, but there shouldn't be any space because of the surface tension. Because whenever you breathe in, it has to follow your chest. Because if not, then you're creating a space, and there shouldn't be so it's a potential space technically. Because if there's a space between your lungs and in the body or your chest wall, that means there's either air, which is an abnormal condition like a pneumothorax. Have you heard of a pneumothorax? Or probably water, which is like pneumonia or something. So, or blood, if you get stubbed or something, then it would create a space, and that's not normal. So there should be like it's just a potential space because it has to follow the chest wall or the parietal pleura when you breathe in and you breathe out. Does that make sense? When you're exhaling and inhaling, it has to follow your chest wall. So going into what else? The lungs. Can I borrow the lungs? So which lung am I holding?
Left lung.
Left. Why?
Because there's a notch.
There's a notch, that's one. What else? Two lobes and one fissure. Okay, the right lung has three lobes, okay, and two fissures. The two fissures are
Transverse
the
and oblique.
transfer is actually horizontal.
Horizontal?
Yeah.
He was telling us.
Transverse?
Yeah, because in your, it's probably the same, but in your guide, she wanted to use horizontal. Yeah, so that's horizontal. Where's that? Did you see that? I know I saw that. It's yeah, it says horizontal. In your book it says horizontal. Yeah. So it's a horizontal, because I corrected myself too, because I used the same pen first, and then I double checked it, and it says horizontal. So the third is horizontal. There, it says horizontal.
That's the old book.
Even the new book says horizontal, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so that's oblique, and then the horizontal, which is for the or the right side, which is the right lung. This is the left. It has two lobes, and it has the cardiac notch. What else? Oh, apex and the base. So that's easy. Now what else? The lobes. Well, these are called lobules. Okay. And in each lobe, you have to remember that there is a bronchopulmonary segment. I asked her if you need to remember all the different parts. No, which is good because there's a lot of them. So you just need to know that each segment has a subunit inside the lobe, which are called the bronchopulmonary segments. In each
There
lobe,
are
smaller units. Yeah, smaller units.
inside each lobe.
Yeah, those are where like the tertiary bronchioles would be. It has like 7 other segments. I guess they use it because whenever they have to diagnose a problem with the lungs, they have to have a specific part. So
And those
yeah.
are some of the things that can be removed.
Exactly. Well, yeah, there are there are different ways of removing part of the thing, and you can actually live without one lobe. There's still lobectomy. And what else? The hilus or the hilum. We've encountered that before, just like in the spleen, right? Or in the kidneys, you have the hilum. The hilum would be where the veins, or the tubes go into. So it's like a depression. It looks like a little bit of a notch, but it's not. It's like a depression where the arteries, the veins, and the tubes will go in. So like this one. Okay. So it's like a depression. Well, you can see it in this one.
So how is it different than the cardiac?
Cardiac notch is for the heart. The hilum is where the arteries and veins go in.
If it's like the kidney, this would be the hilum. Okay, so because that's where the vessels will go in.
You can see it on the lung right there.
Yeah, you can kind of see it like that. It's like where it goes in. In this model, you can actually see this. What are these? These are pulmonary arteries. And there's 2 core pulmonary veins because the heart is in here. Right? Okay. And then just remember the muscles of inspiration and expiration.
Diaphragm and external intercostal.
External, yeah, or inspiration, and then expiration is abdominals and internal. Yeah, most likely, yeah.
Wait,
Because we're done with the muscle, so that would be more theoretical. Now,
inspiration is written too.
yeah, most likely. You know those anyway, because we're finished with them.
Yeah, she went over them today.
So what else? Okay, just as a review, what can you see in this model? Everything. There's a lot.
Arteries, veins,
Yes, everything.
lungs,
Oh, these are important. Axillary lymph nodes, that's right. So there's 3. What are the ones that are in your neck? Cervical, axillary, and inguinal. Okay, those
Wait,
are.
those aren't going to be the lymph nodes you could ask them yet?
Yeah.
And what's that artery right there? I mean, vein.
What is it? You can see it. If you can see, this is
Iliac, sciatic, vein.
if you can imagine the inguinal ligament, it already passed it. So what is it?
Femoral? Femoral? Oh wait.
That would be the femoral. And then if it goes more medially, that would be the great saphenous.
Oh, and then the ball and the small
Huh?
Oh, yeah,
The cepha- oh, that would be on the arm.
Given in different
Are you talking about the basilic and
Yeah,
the
for each
cephalic?
model. So I have like I had like 13 minutes going and it's just.
I'm nearing 26.
Oh, you just did one whole video?
To the head. But ilia?
Put that on YouTube.
Internal
It'll
and
take
external
long.
ilia?
I know. I guess I can cut it.
Yeah, just the great saphenous. Yeah. What else? What else can we see? Well, you can see the brachiocephalic is this one. The left and the right brachiocephalic veins, and then it becomes the internal jugular
I know
over
the
here.
cephalic vein in the basilic.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the arm.
Is that what you're talking about?
Saphenous.
Great saphenous? That's in your leg.
That's in your leg, this one, yeah. The one in the middle is the great saphenous. And then the small saphenous, you can't see it in the model, so you have to check your diagrams for that one. Okay, what else? Okay, and this one, this is the only model that actually would show this. It's a paired artery that's on top of the
Suprarenal.
yes,
Suprarenal arteries.
arteries.
The left and right suprarenal
Exactly, it's
arteries.
a paired artery, so it's a suprarenal because this is the kidney, remember? This is the kidney, so that's the kidney.
The renal artery.
So on top would be the adrenal gland or the suprarenal gland, so this would make it the suprarenal artery. Okay. And this is the pancreas. Yes, this is the pancreas. It goes into the spleen. Remember the splenic artery supplies the pancreas along the way before it supplies the spleen. So it goes that way and that way. And then the stomach is on top of this. That's why you have the left gastric. What is the main trunk?
Celiac.
Yes. The celiac has 3 branches again. First line.
Gastric and splenic.
Hepatic.
Start on the right. What's on the right?
Hepatic.
Go. Yes, the hepatic. That's right. And then on the
Gastric.
left would be the left
Splenic.
gastric and the splenic. So on the right is the hepatic. On the left would be the left gastric and the splenic.
Liz, can we go over the alveolar ducts and sacs because I got lost there.
Oh, okay. We talked about that earlier. Just the alveolar sac is in the alveoli.
Yeah.
Okay, like that. And then this would be the duct. Okay, this is the duct. This is the sac. The space.
Let's see what page is that because I can't find it in my book.
You do have it here.
Palatine, and palatine's the ones that inflame that are often removed. And then the ones on
Okay, what else do we see? Oh, somebody asked me what these are, okay? This is still not part of your thing. It's just the ureter for the kidneys. And then you can see one more. What's this?
Pharyngeal. Palatine.
sacral.
What? Median sacral. Yeah, the median sacral. Okay, this would be the internal iliac, right? And then the external iliac.
Right external.
Yay.
And then as soon as the right external iliac
Yes.
passes through the inguinal ligament, then it
Inguinal.
becomes the external
Femoral.
artery.
Just the femoral artery.
There's no external.
Yeah, there's no external. Yeah. Okay, what else? What else? Okay, that's pretty much it.